Hi, everyone, and happy Tuesday, and welcome to another edition. I feel like I'm like a podcast host of our College Spotlight series, where we've been spotlighting over 50 colleges this summer and have already done more than half. So, which unfortunately means that we are more than halfway through the summer. So that's a little disheartening, but I am really excited today to welcome Quinnipiac University. If you are from New Jersey, a school that is not too far away, but just far enough that you get the New England charm. Great hockey, great spirit, beautiful campus, really awesome upperclassmen dorms. That's my favorite part, that hill that overlooks everything. So I am happy to introduce the admissions rep for some counties in New Jersey, which she will explain, Katie Strong. And we also have a student today, which is awesome. I love student engagement. So we have a student here who I'll have her introduce herself to talk about her experiences at Quinnipiac. And as always, I will be monitoring the questions and answers. So if somebody has questions for either Ju or Katie, please send them our way on the Q&A chat and we can get to them after the presentation. So welcome, Katie.
Thanks so much, Jenna. My name is Katie Strong, and I'm one of the associate directors at Quinnipiac University. We are located in Hamden, Connecticut. I am also a two-time alum. I graduated from Quinnipiac in 2016 with a degree in marketing, and then in 2018 with a Master of Business Administration. So business through and through, all the way. I actually just decided to start up again and go for another master's degree in business analytics this fall, again from Quinnipiac. So I have loved my education a lot. I am also a former student athlete at the Division I level as well at Quinnipiac. So happy to answer questions along that route as well. And joining me today is one of my students, Ju, and I'll allow Ju to introduce herself as well.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ju. I always say on my campus tours or like whenever I introduce myself, I say Ju as in Jewish. A lot of people are like, oh, like that's your name. Like, is it okay? I'm like, no, that's literally my name on my birth certificate. So I am Ju. I'm an incoming junior at Quinnipiac University. My major is occupational therapy, and I'm from East Brunswick, New Jersey. So this is like my favorite thing ever because Jersey folks just hit different. Like it hits my heart in a different way, whether you're a pork roll or a Taylor ham person, but we know like the Jersey Shore is where it's at. So I'm super excited to be here today. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Ju knows that I still have yet to try the Taylor ham pork roll situation.
Pork roll. It's pork roll.
So, I travel quite a bit, typically to New Jersey. As Jenna mentioned, I do work with students from some counties in New Jersey. We do split it into two. I have what most of you would refer to as central and southern New Jersey, although I know there is some discrepancies about what is central New Jersey, but I essentially have Hunterdon, Warren, Middlesex, Somerset, and Monmouth counties and down. So Morris County and up would be my colleague. I also work with students from Pennsylvania, Delaware, and the West Coast as well. So we're gonna keep it pretty light. So if you do have any questions at all, feel free to let us know. I always like to make this more interactive instead of boring you with a PowerPoint. So I will save you from doing that and allow you to jump in when she feels it is necessary. So just to get started talking about who we are and what we are. I know right now it's a little bit difficult to kind of get a sense of who we are. We are open for campus visits, so that's the exciting part for us, that we are able to host campus tours as long as you register ahead of time. So we are getting some folks to be able to come and see us, but for those who haven't had a chance yet, really to give you a sense, we're a typical New England style suburban feel. We are a true campus setting. We are green grass. We have a small state park right across the street that our students do like to go hiking at as well. So we are nestled up right against that, where you're going to find acres and acres of green grass. That is our Mount Carmel campus. That is where our first and second year students live. Majority of our undergraduate classes and the most athletic facilities are going to be on that campus as well for us. And other student services, our student center, we do have a Starbucks on campus, which is a big hit. Our library and other areas are going to be there as well. And then Jenna mentioned across the street, we do have our York Hill campus that is upperclassmen housing. It has a ski lodge feel up there in their student center. We are really excited. We just opened up a brand new pub on campus, and then we shut down. So I think we had one opening night for that when we were playing our Quinnipiac Yale hockey game, and our seniors got to enjoy that with student government opening that up. So we're really excited to have that in our student center. In the student center up on that campus, there's an additional dining hall, student health services, public safety, conference rooms, dining rooms, fitness center. There's a spinning studio up there, yoga studio. So very much just a relaxed feel. There's Adirondack chairs that overlook a beautiful view of downtown New Haven as well as the Long Island Sound. So our students do like venturing up there on that campus. And that campus is going to be residential social only, no academics up on the York Hill campus. They're about 5 minutes apart, and we will find that all of our students, especially those coming from out of state, will use both of those campuses in their experience. And then our North Haven campus is our academic only campus. And that one is going to be our medical school, law school, graduate school of health sciences, our upperclassmen school of nursing, and our graduate school of education. So we refer to this more as like a suits and scrubs kind of feel. Ju's actually gonna be starting to take classes over there this year as a part of the OT program. So it's definitely more of just a pre-professional kind of getting your hands in a lab setting, simulation labs, all of that is really going to be focus of that campus. So June and OT program and our nursing students start heading over to North Haven in their junior year. Some of our other students in health sciences, like a physical therapy program or physician assistant, are going to be a little bit later and heading over to that campus. So that's our 3-campus environment, a little confusing at first, but we do have a shuttle that runs between all 3 campuses. So definitely a different vibe when you step on each one, but I think they get better and better each one that you go to as you visit them. Right now, unfortunately, we're only able to show Mount Carmel and do a drive-through of the York Hill campus. North Haven's still closed right now to visitors, and we're working on options for students to be able to see that. So just to give you a sense, really all are going to be a suburban setting. We are located about 15 minutes outside the city of New Haven. So if you're looking more of a hustle and bustle kind of feel, that's going to be in downtown New Haven. Train station will get you Amtrak or Metro North. So it helps a lot of students get back home for some of you, if it's an easy, quick train ride. Others like to go to New York City, you know, on a Saturday with friends, venture out, or some students will use it for internships throughout Connecticut into Fairfield County. So Stamford, Bridgeport, Milford, Fairfield, as well as sometimes going into New York City twice a week for an internship. So very accessible. Outside of that, we're pretty much located halfway between Boston and New York, and we're about 30 minutes from Hartford, Connecticut, which is the capital. So very much a nestled suburban school with access to metropolitan areas. Ju, I'm going to turn it over to you quickly. I know that you're going to be living up at York Hill, and that's Jenna's favorite part, so I want to make sure that you get to talk about living up at York Hill for a little bit.
Yeah, so for sure. So like Katie mentioned, I lived on the main campus my freshman and sophomore year, which is really nice because especially as a first year student, you want to feel comfortable with, you're already in a new environment. You don't want to worry about commuting from a different campus to campus. I know a huge reason I decided to go to Quinnipiac University versus maybe a state school at home was because I didn't want to have to worry about taking that 10-minute commute, that 10-minute commute, whether it's on a bus or you have to walk there, which is why I chose Quinnipiac. It was such a very closed off campus, and that's something I wanted coming from right near, you know, Rutgers University, where it's a lot bigger than what you might expect. So the numbers were really great for me, and living on Main as a freshman and sophomore, it was convenient. But then, you know, you learn the ropes a little bit, and now you're like, okay, I want to switch it up. You get to York, and Jenna, it's her favorite, but I think that's definitely one of my favorite parts of campus. I would say that's probably what sealed the deal for me when I got up to York Hill and you see that view. It is absolutely stunning. I am not a morning person whatsoever. I will never, ever be the first one to be like, hey, let's go down to Long Branch and see the sunrise. And I love having this Via Jersey thing because you guys all understand the things I reference. I will wake up for a sunrise up at York Hill, and then I'll take a spin class at 7 or 8. That is the best feeling in the world. The sunrise is absolutely beautiful. Even the sunset, but then you also have that nice cafeteria where it is an entire ski lodge view. Like that, I feel like I'm on vacation when I go up there. And so as a junior, I'm really excited, not just because the food gets better, because that's where we have our brick oven pizza, which is like super good, but also I have the facilities that are so nice with the spin classes, the yoga classes that are right by me, but also just the feeling of like, okay, at the end of the day, I get to go back to my dorm, see that beautiful view that oversees that nice Long Island Sound. I'm just really personally excited that one, we are able to go back, but also to live on York. That's something that we've always like, I was like, I can't wait to live here. I can't wait to live here till I'm there. And so for me to like be there, like that view and just having that every day as like, this is my campus is something I really love about Quinnipiac.
Thanks, Ju. I've seen plenty of sunrises as well, being an athlete with 5:45 a.m. lifts on my way back up to take a quick nap. I wasn't going to spinning after, but I know what those are like. So definitely a beautiful view. So our Mount Carmel and York Hill are going to be located in Hamden. Hamden's pretty suburban also. Outside of that, we are one stop sign away from the main road that runs through the center of town. So the town's about 65,000 to 68,000 residents, so fairly large. And about 5 minutes down the road, you'll find traditional shopping plazas. So there's Moe's, Chipotle, a poke bowl place, there's Marshall's, Stop and Shop, other restaurants, other shopping. So you really have everything that you need. And then the next town over, which is where the North Haven campus is, in North Haven, we also have another shopping area that has a Target. There's Chick-fil-A, Buffalo Wild Wings, Ulta Beauty, Barnes & Noble. There's also a movie theater as well. So outside of campus, there's a lot to do for our students in the area, so they get to be able to do that.
Can I chime in with, I used to work at ESPN, which is located in Bristol, Connecticut, and we would go to Hamden for the all-you-can-eat sushi. Is it still there? And it was like the greatest place ever.
So I don't think so, because I think you're referring to the same place that my colleagues refer to, and I don't think it's there anymore.
I guess it was a little while ago when I first started in 2012, and we didn't really make a lot of money, so we always went there, and it was like very good. So yeah, Hamden, I could attest, is a very cute suburb. I don't know, probably like a kind of Morristown, Livingston, town center kind of place.
Yeah, I would agree. And kind of cool. I also worked at ESPN for 2 years, so I like hearing that.
There you go. And that's a lot of interns and employees came from there because it is so close by. So for any sports broadcast future or anyone really that employs a lot of different roles. So
yeah, I would agree. That is actually one of the reasons I chose Quinnipiac, was because ESPN was so close by, and that was, you know, my dream job in working there. So we do see them come on campus and recruit our students for various programs that they have, like their production assistant programs or some of their part-time jobs and internship opportunities. So definitely easy enough trip. It's a quick trip, about 35 minutes down the road for that. So thanks for chiming in and letting us know and kind of being able to compare it. But it's very similar to New Jersey or anywhere else where anyone else is from, where you have things, you know, 10 minutes, anywhere, anything that you need is 10 minutes away. But you kind of have that relaxing feel where you can kind of take a deep breath, like Ju said, up on York Hill, or walk across the street and go to the hiking trails at Sleeping Giant. Absolutely stunningly beautiful in the fall as well. We're a medium-sized school, so we have about 7,000 undergraduate students, 3,000 graduate students, so 10,000 total. We expect to stay right around 10,000 total with 7,000 undergraduates. And the great part about us is you never feel like that. So June referenced, you know, Rutgers, very different feel. For students who want that big school feel, absolutely. We're gonna give you a little bit of both. Smaller school feel in a sense that academics, smaller classroom environment, average class size is 24 students, no teaching assistants, no graduate students teaching any class whatsoever. You're really gonna have that ability to get to know your professor, get to know the people sitting in class next to you. My economics professor first year still knows me by name, you know, helped me out figuring out what I wanted to major in, you know, figuring out internships, things like that along the way, and then my postgraduate plan. So that's really the type of environment that we serve students on the academic side. We do have a Learning Commons that offers free peer tutoring. We also have an Office of Student Accessibility. If students have any learning differences or accommodations that they need, we will work with those students as well. On the flip side of that, we do have a bigger school feel. There are 10,000 students. You're not going to know everyone. You're also going to see familiar faces on a daily basis, but you're not going to have the same people in all of your classes each and every day. So I think that's an important note to make, that even in a program like Jew, where OT, it's a specific subset of students, she probably isn't going to see all of those same kids until junior or senior year when they're taking specific classes. Her bio classes are mixed with other health science students. So you really get a feel for the whole campus. We also have 21 Division I sports. As well, I mentioned I'm a former student athlete, so I know what playing at the Division I level is like. So if students have questions about that, I'm happy to help. And then we are happy to announce that we have 10 affiliated club sports now, which is great. And we also have over 20 intramural sports as well. We bring in most of our students from out of state, so you won't be alone. You will find other New Jersey students, I can promise you that. And Ju's always happy when she finds one on tour. And the great part about it is you're going to meet students from all over the place. We represent over 30 countries and 30 states, but most of our students are going to be living on campus. In a traditional year, we have about 96% of our first year students living on campus. So very much a residential social feel. We do have over 140 student clubs, organizations on campus. They've added probably close to 30 to 35 since I graduated undergrad. So for students who can't find anything, I find it hard to believe, but if you want to start something, you absolutely can. We are very community service oriented as well. And we do offer Greek life. So for those that are interested in sorority and fraternity life, you can definitely talk about that. But we don't offer housing. So that's the big difference. Our students don't live with their brothers and sisters in specified housing. So Ju, I don't know if you want to mention, and I don't think you did at the top of the program, about what you're involved with for clubs and organizations.
Yeah. So obviously I am lucky to be a student ambassador here at the Office of Undergraduate Admissions. So if you decide to come back and give us a tour, which I would highly recommend, because touring Quinnipiac was literally a game changer for me. The campus is just absolutely stunning. My parents have been on tons of different tours with me, my cousins, my family members, and my mom said, hands down, the most perfect, like she literally said, perfect campus I have ever seen. The buildings are beautiful. The grass is like the most perfectly cut grass ever. It's insane. But if you decide to come, I could be your tour guide from Jersey. Like I said, I love to hype my Jersey people up. So that would be fun. But also I'm involved in Greek life. I love Greek life. I can kind of talk a little bit about it. Like Katie said, Quinnipiac is very service-based. And so if I'm being really honest, coming into Quinnipiac, I did not want to be affiliated with anything in regards to Greek life. I was very against all the things you would see on the media regarding, you know, all these stereotypes that Greek life was affiliated with. And then I got here and I'm like, this is nothing what the media portrays. Quinnipiac, I could say Greek life in one word, is very just community service based. And that's something that I was really interested in high school. A huge reason why I decided to go Greek. One of the best decisions I've made, just because you just meet so many people, but it's a great opportunity to get involved and help out in the community. So I'm involved in Greek life as well. And so you're taking from me, from the girl who was like the least, like, I don't want to be anything a part of it. And I'm literally the most Greek girl on campus, I think. I'm either wearing Quinnipiac apparel or my letters. It's really one or the other. You can ask Katie, because if I'm not working in the office and she sees me, I'm in my letters. Some other things I'm involved in include I'm in the SOTA Club, which is the Student Occupational Therapy Association. Like Katie mentioned, there are tons of different clubs and organizations. I won't even know all of them. Like, I guarantee there's a club that I've never heard of and I'm like, oh, that's a thing. And people are like, oh yeah, that's totally a thing. And you'll hear people join new things as the years go on. So I know freshman year I was like, oh, like, what is this? And then sophomore year I was like, oh, there's a thing called QU Snow, where if you're interested in skiing or snowboarding, there's a club that'll take you, they'll do 3 trips to Vermont. And it's like super cheap and it's a really good time with all your friends. So that's something I'm getting forward to this year. But SOTA, going back to that, the Student Occupational Therapy Association, that's a club designated for all students in the occupational therapy program. And that's something great about Quinnipiac, is that almost every major has a club kind of not affiliated, but designated around it. And that's a great way that I've met other upperclassmen OT students who've helped me give recommendations on, oh, take this professor, take this class, do this for OT, but also it'll help you with finding different service opportunities, internships, all of that stuff regarding your major. So that's a great way to get involved as well. And then the last big thing that I'm involved in is Q-thon. That's our yearly dance marathon that goes towards Children's Connecticut Hospital. It's one of those Children's Miracle Network programs where it's a 10-hour dance marathon, and we raise money for the children and the students at that hospital. So I'm on one of those committees for that, but that's another example of service that we have. But there's so many different ways you can get involved.
Thanks, Ju. We always get asked, who's the ideal student? What student fits in at Quinnipiac? You know, how would you describe students at Quinnipiac? And we always say it's a balance. We are a very strong academic school, and that shows in that we were just named, again, the #1 school in the country over the past 10 years for graduation success rate, meaning our students are employed full-time or in graduate school full-time 6 months after graduation. We average over 96% each year as a university as a whole, #1 in Connecticut, #1 overall, and that just came out yesterday, the day before. So that's 2 years running for us. That's been the case for that blog that's been posting that. But on the flip side of that, we have a very involved campus community. I don't just pick on Ju because she's involved. That's going to be pretty typical of what you're going to find, that our students are going to talk about 2 or 3 or 4 different organizations that they're a part of. So we really want to find that student that's going to jump right in. We are not the school that you're going to spend 7 days a week in, 15 weeks of the semester sitting in the library. We want you to get out, get involved, go to clubs, go to meetings, attend activities, go to events, and that's very much the case for us. So coming from reviewing students from high school, we really want to see that resume built out. We want to see your list of activities. We want to see that you're involved because we know you're going to do that and jump right in when you get to us. And there's an involvement fair that'll help you do that. There's a whole welcome week of events. There are people like Ju who are orientation leaders who will help with that. So there are a lot of things that we really want to see students get involved with right away. And I think service is that underlying piece for a lot of it. Q-thon, our big event, a lot of our Greek life is philanthropy oriented. So we will see that quite a bit. On the academic side, we have 58 undergraduate majors. We have just added a few more majors in our School of Business. So that will be applied business, business analytics, human resource management, and supply chain management. In addition to our School of Business, we have a College of Arts and Sciences, School of Communications, School of Engineering. We have a School of Health Sciences, our School of Nursing, and then a Graduate School of Education, Graduate Medical School, and a Graduate Law School. So we do cover a wide range of programs for students. We also have almost 50 minors at the university. And one of the unique things about us is our dual degree programs. So we have dual degree programs that Ju's a part of, where you're admitted to both undergrad and grad with us. That's going to be our direct entry physician assistant, direct entry occupational therapy. We also have a physical therapy that's a direct entry program. So students know that they're going to be with us for potentially 5, 6, or 7 years. But the benefit is you kind of know you're here with us. You don't have to reapply to grad school. You don't have to take a GRE or GMAT. So they're staying with us. We also have a 5-year Master of Arts in Teaching program for students at the elementary or secondary level. And then we've announced accelerated dual degree programs for students by invitation. So these are going to be a little bit more unique to us, where students can actually complete their bachelor's and master's in an accelerated fashion. We offer 3+1 programs in business, communications, economics, radiologic sciences, biology, biochemistry, and theater. So they're actually walking out the door in 4 years with an undergraduate degree and a graduate degree. We have a 3+2 Master of Social Work program where you can do social sciences or health science studies at the undergrad. And then we also have a 3+3 law program. So students who know they want to do law school will do it in 6 years as opposed to 7 with us. And these are programs that students who fall stronger in terms of academic rigor, academic success, and then SAT or ACT scores if they submit them, would potentially be invited to consider some of these accelerated programs. So we do have a lot of those offerings at the university. We're expanding those as well to eventually include data analytics and some other programs, and students now have the option expanded graduate programs with that as well. So in terms of the academic piece, I mentioned that we're very career focused. We don't have teaching assistants, we don't have graduate students, so we are a teaching institution. We are not considered a typical research, you know, here's where we are, let's do research like a University of Michigan would be. Our professors are there to teach students and really work with them. So we can build in internships, clinical, we do have research opportunities for students who want to do something innovative in the engineering area and do a project with our faculty. They can do that as well. So we can build all of that in for credit during the semester, something in the local area, something on campus. We really want our students to have that experiential learning piece. That goes along with study abroad. We do have 32 partnership programs as well abroad. Not so much this year, but we will continue to offer that in the future. We also have a Los Angeles domestic program for students primarily for communications, but also an option for other programs. And we have an option for students to spend a semester in DC as well. So we're going to focus on the experiential learning. That's going to tie in with our career development piece. So each of our schools handles career development separately. So for business specifically, it's for business. Communications, they have separate staff. We do have a campus-wide career fair every fall, resume review workshops, companies like ESPN coming on campus, doing sessions, panels, talking about internships. We do a etiquette dinner for business, so you learn how to have a meal. If you ever have to interview over a meal or have a meeting over a meal, you'll know what to do. We do media mashup for communications. Engineering does offsite visits to companies. So there's definitely a lot of opportunities for students to prepare their resume, and that's, I think, showcased in our success rate for students as well. So just to kind of give you an idea of what the academic side looks like. I know there's some questions about application and admissions process, so we can definitely get into that. But before we do, Jen, I don't know if you want me to take a little bit of a break, talk about Quinnipiac in general before we get into the heavy hitting admissions application.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. I can explain the campuses a little bit. There's a few questions on campus environment, and it is very confusing. So the undergraduate portion of the nursing program is actually split. So you would spend freshman and sophomore year on the Mount Carmel campus. You live and take classes there. Junior and senior year, you'd move up to York Hill if you're gonna live on campus with us. You just live at York Hill, and then you take classes junior and senior year on the North Haven campus. North Haven is academic only, York Hill is living only. So it gets a little confusing. And then graduate nursing is also located on the North Haven campus as well. Question about all students taking classes at Mount Carmel. So as long as you're not in education, certain health science programs, or nursing, you'd probably never step foot on the North Haven campus, and you take all of your classes at Mount Carmel. So that's going to be business, communications, engineering, and arts and sciences students that are not going to be in education. We'll take classes entirely at Mount Carmel. North Haven's about 15 minutes away, driving time, end to end, parking, all that stuff, 15 minutes from Mount Carmel, take off 2 minutes from York Hill from there as well. So we can get into the application admissions process a little bit. We have a few changes this year. So for those of you that are a little bit more familiar with Quinnipiac, we have been rolling admission in the past. We've been apply when you are ready to and get a decision on a rolling basis. We're going to switch that up this year and move to a more traditional timeline. So we have instituted and kept our early decision November 1st binding agreement for students who know 100% without a doubt we are the right place for them. We have now moved to an early action 1 of November 15th. We are recommending that students who are applying to more selective programs like our direct entry physician assistant, physical therapy, occupational therapy, or nursing programs, that they apply by that early action 1 deadline. And the reason for that is we just have limited spaces and limited seats for those programs. And then early action 2 is going to be January deadline, and then regular admission won't be until February for a deadline. And then we will release decisions on kind of drop dates instead of a rolling basis, as we have been. So this is going to be a little bit of a new process for all of us in getting in everything that we need. We have moved to mostly test optional, I will say. The only programs that require SAT or ACT scores are going to be the direct entry physician assistant program. We are ranked 15th in the country for that program, so it does draw a lot of interest from all over the country for students, and in large number of applications. It is very selective, so we will require an SAT or ACT score for that. And I know I've been seeing Jenna's posts about ACTs and the trouble that they're having, and I know it's across the board. If a student does have a major issue in sitting for a test, I'm happy to work with you, and we'll address that on a case-by-case basis. And the other program that will require SAT or ACT scores for consideration, because we are admitting you to the law school at the same time, is our 3+3 law program. We will highly recommend it for nursing, PT, and OT, but it's not going to be necessary for admission to those programs. In terms of what we look for a student, we find that we take a holistic approach. I mentioned earlier, we want to find that student who's active and involved on campus. So we are bringing in those students. So what you put on your list of activities, your resume, your essay, your letters of recommendation, all that stuff will play a part for us. Of course, your academic experience is also going to play a huge part in your transcript. I will look heavily at rigor of courses, grades. We also have a strong understanding. I've been reading my schools for several years now, in particular New Jersey, but I know not everyone is from New Jersey on here. But I've been reading New Jersey for several years now, so familiar with high school's competitive nature, what you can and cannot take, your profiles, things like that. So don't always be concerned with a GPA number. We're flexible on that. I don't actually really pay attention to GPA numbers anymore. I will break down your classes, what you're taking, but I do look at honors, AP, IB level, dual enrollment classes. All that's going to play a big part for us. So generally speaking, B to B plus student overall. For those of you that work on a different scale, think 85 to 90, and then weighted will only help you. And then average SAT score has been about 1150 to 1200, 23, 24, 25 range for ACT for general admissions programs. Our 3+1, 3+2, 3+3 will move up slightly closer to 1200, SAT 25, ACT, and ranking in the top 5th of your class, so top 20. I know most schools don't rank, so we will figure that out in our process. And then OT, PT, and nursing, very similar, 1200 range and above, typically for averages. PA, our average is about a 1400. Competitive students will be 1250 to 1400 and above, along with a number of other factors, including a strong transcript, strong math and science. Ju, anything to add that I didn't mention about QU in general?
Something that I would really like to chip in, and I always mention this on my tours, talking about that student that we want at Quinnipiac and the student that you're going to see at Quinnipiac. I would say, like, I love to keep myself busy. If I'm not doing something every day, I can't do it. Like, I'm going to drive myself nuts. That's just the person I am. But I got to Quinnipiac, and I can tell you a perfect example of someone that I always mention on my tours. He's one of my best friends at school. But he, I would say, is someone that if you're in my seat where I was coming into college and I was like, I need to only focus on academics because I was very involved in high school, and my mom told me when I got to college, I had to focus on studying or else I would fall back, just because in high school I was doing like every little thing, president of multiple clubs, all this stuff, not trying to sound like cocky, but like that's just how it was. And I got to school, I can tell you my best friend, as Katie mentioned, he's in the PA program, which is once again super duper competitive. Like you hear on campus, you're like, oh, he's PA major. Like like they are on another level of academic excellence. But I could tell you also, he has been the class president of my graduating class. So he was our class president. But on top of that, as a sophomore, he also achieves becoming the president of his fraternity. So for him to be involved in almost every single aspect of academics, involvement, and service is insane. And so I think that's something that represents our school so well. And it's not just him, but that's like almost every other student. So it's really important to keep that in mind when applying to Quinnipiac. That's like what we want, what you expect to come onto campus. So I think that says a lot about who we are, what our students are like. And also, if you're like me, again, going off more of like the academic side, I'm the worst test taker. I can tell you SATs were the most dreadful 3 hours of my life. I'm very bad at test taking, but I really was very worried, and I reached out to Quinnipiac and I explained, hey, like they're gonna look at everything, and working in admissions, I've seen that side where they will consider, you know, if you took AP classes, that's gonna make you stand out, your GPA and all that stuff. And I know like dealing with COVID and all that stuff right now, everyone could be like, oh, I'm really stressed out. Like I have friends whose siblings are entering senior year and they're like, I don't know what to do. Like I really want to go to school, but I'm not the best test taker, or I can't even take these tests. I'm like, listen, like we all understand, like everyone take a chill pill, like deep breaths. But on top of that, I think something that I've really loved about Quinnipiac academically is just that size number and that perfect balance of not so much a small school, but not like the biggest school. I could tell you right now, I walk to class and I see a new face every day, but at the same time on that walk, I'm also going to see a familiar face. And so that's something I personally really loved coming from a really small high school. I knew I wanted to keep that relationship with my professors and my teachers. I could tell you, like Katie said, with her professor from freshman year, my first year seminar professor is my go-to reference for whatever job, internship, any opportunity that I have. I text her. I literally text her because that's how close we are. And I think that says a lot about our professors at Quinnipiac. In high school, I know like for my high school, at least, it was like not allowed that you were able to have any other contact with your teacher besides email. And the first day I walked into this class and my professor said, hi, I'm not going to respond to your emails fast enough. Just text me if you need anything. And it's her personal phone number. So I think that says a lot about how our professors view our students and that relationship of mutual respect, but also the fact that they genuinely care about us. So I think that says a lot about like what we're like as students, but also academically. Just wanted to throw my 2 cents in there.
Thanks, Ju. One thing that we didn't talk about was financial aid, scholarships, tuition. Tuition, we are at, for this upcoming year, $66,200 all in tuition, room and board, and fees. We are a private institution in the Northeast, so I think we're going to fall in with a lot of other schools that many of you will be looking at in terms of cost. We do offer merit scholarships. Those are automatically something that we review for during the admissions and application process, so nothing additional that you need to do, and those are need blind for us. You get that information right away on your decision letter. You will have that right away. For need-based financial aid, which is everything else that we do, we will require the FAFSA. We do not require the CSS, and I did see that question. We don't require the CSS profile, just the FAFSA. That'll open up October 1st of your student senior year. And we recommend by having that done December, January timeframe, just so you can get a financial aid package in enough time to make a decision. So we are a merit and need-based combination school for students who need financial assistance because we know that we have a hefty price tag if you look at the sticker price number. Question about an active Hillel. So we do have a Peter C. Harold House for Jewish Life on campus. They are not a Hillel, but they are Hillel affiliated. So we do have a rabbi that's employed by the university. They have Shabbat dinner. They run other events as well. And it is actually right behind the admissions building. If you come to campus and you park in our visitors entrance, you will see it right on your right-hand side. And then for other religious, we are not religiously affiliated with a particular denomination, but we do have a Center of Religious Life on campus and a Catholic chapel in addition to our Peter C. Harold House for Jewish Life for students in other denominations as well. Ju, you haven't studied abroad yet because you're not there in terms of class, correct?
Yeah, but I could talk a little bit about like
Perfect.
the opportunities maybe, and you can kind of like add on. But study abroad, if I would never admit this to my mom, but now I'll admit it, is probably the one thing I regret about my Quinnipiac experience. That's the one thing I didn't do at school. I've always said, like, coming into freshman year, I'm going to take advantage of every single opportunity. And I decided not to with study abroad, which is a huge regret of mine, because even before I got to college, something my mom's always told me is, hey, make sure you go study abroad. You will never get an opportunity in your lifetime to just live and be a part of that culture for however many months you're there. So do it, do it, do it. I kind of chickened out. Typically, if you're in health sciences, let's say specifically for nursing, health, PT, OT, all that stuff, a lot of students tend to go their second semester of their sophomore year. Obviously, like Katie said, this year is a little different just due to COVID and all that stuff. But seeing my best friends all go abroad to Australia, Spain, Ireland, and just seeing the life that they lived, I was like, what am I doing here? The only reason I decided not to go was because I thought I would have FOMO. FOMO stands for fear of missing out. I thought I would be missing out if I went abroad with everything that was happening on campus at Quinnipiac, and seeing people's experiences, hearing about it. I was like, I missed out on that opportunity rather than what was going on campus. Whether they were taking the most coolest classes ever, they were doing like wine tasting as a class, and that was a credit. And the fact that you get to just experience and enrich that culture, I think that was a great time. They were able to meet so many different places. But talk about travel, you were able to just country hop. One weekend they were in Switzerland, the next they were in France. Like, I was like, this is insane. So that's one thing I definitely wish I did. But something that you can also consider with study abroad is you don't have to go abroad for the whole semester. You could do 2 weeks at a time. You can do a 1 credit course or a 3 credit course for 2 weeks in Spain. So it's not really the whole semester over your J term, over winter break or the summer. But also I think one of the big reasons I chose Quinnipiac also has to do with the opportunities you have with going abroad or a different country that incorporates also with your major. So if everything was going as planned, unfortunately, a lot of this year's plans have been changed due to our world circumstance. I was going to go to Barbados this winter break, and that was a service learning trip, but that also counted for my 3 credit senior capstone. So as a junior, I was able to fulfill my capstone by going to the Barbados trip and helping there with service learning and community, and just helping out the communities in there with healthcare. I know someone who's gone on a Bahamas trip over the summer, that counted as a credit, but she was able to help communities there with dentistry and just common checkups. So all those little things like that add to your experience of resume and internships and all that stuff can be done abroad. I know people who've studied at Tokyo for 2 weeks over winter break and got to see business on a really like international business level. But I think study abroad at Quinnipiac is one of the best things we offer, something I definitely should have done, but it's okay.
I would agree with you. It's probably my biggest regret. Being an athlete is a little bit different, but not having as many opportunities, but definitely a regret. So I would have to agree there. Question about how we differentiate who sends SAT or ACT scores and if we evaluate those students differently. So we don't have 2 separate piles for those that submit and those that don't submit. If a student's transcript speaks enough about them as a student academically and we can make a positive decision off of that, that's what we will use. It will be a little bit different in the health sciences just because there are a limited number of seats, and if students, showcase something strong and then match that in an SAT or ACT score, they may have a situation where it's a little bit better than a student who just has a transcript with lower GPA on it for them. We're gonna, try to figure that all out together, but we have been mostly test optional for several years now, and we haven't seen that it has changed our profile of a student that we've been admitting that we would have had if we had asked for SAT or ACT scores. So it's not going to negatively impact a student if they can't take an SAT or ACT, in short. And you can also be considered for merit scholarships if you don't submit an SAT or ACT score. So I think that's definitely important to know as well. Can you start as a health science major and then transfer to a PA program? Short answer is no. Our PA, OT, and PT programs don't take transfer students internally or externally into them. They are direct admit only. We do have students who come to us on a health science studies or undeclared health sciences and then work towards graduate school for either OT, PT, or PA. All three of those have options to join us at the graduate level, but they are applying without a guaranteed seat to those. Our PA program works a little bit, it's a little confusing. We have our entry level program, which we refer to as ELMPA, ELMPA, entry level master physician assistant. We bring in about 25 first year students to that program. They're guaranteed a seat all the way through 6 years of that program, undergrad and grad. We have a PA prep program, which we announced a couple of years ago, which is an invitation program for students who are not admitted to ELMPA, but are a very strong student. They would be given internal consideration into our graduate program. That's another subset of about 25 students. And then pre-PA would be a student who comes to us in health sciences, works with our advisors, and is typically preparing themselves to go elsewhere for graduate school. So if you are thinking PA, PT, or OT, nursing as well, athletic training, anything that's super specific, radiologic sciences, diagnostic imaging, which is like sonography, we would recommend applying to those directly, just so you're admitted to those. We guarantee housing for 3 years. We offer for 4. So seniors who wanted to live on campus with us have had an option. And then in some years, if we have excess housing, we may allow graduate students to join us. In addition to that, we do have several off-campus properties that we own, including an apartment complex and off-campus houses very close by. Question about, is it okay to write your essay about overcoming learning disabilities? Absolutely. If it is something that you are comfortable sharing and it's a part of who you are, it helps explain your academic experience, 100% absolutely you can. Some students who want to write their essay about something else choose to write learning differences and overcoming that and adapting to that in their extra additional information section. That's fine as well. Other students don't ever have to tell us, but I do think it's important if it helps explain your transcript or your academic experience, or if it helps explain your character traits and who you are as a person. It makes for a great essay topic as long as you're perfectly comfortable knowing that admissions committee has that information for you. Question about tracking interest. We have used demonstrated interest in the past. It's going to weigh less heavily for us because there haven't been as many opportunities for students to visit, but we do track interactions with us. So whether that's through a virtual information session, a virtual interview, virtual open houses, virtual student panels that we run, anything like that, we are going to track that interest. And now that we're back open for campus visits, that will play a little bit bigger of a part for us, but it's never a make or break for us in our process, but it does showcase who's coming to see us, who isn't, and just gives us a better idea of students looking at us. What do you think makes students choose Quinnipiac over other schools? Well, I can tell you what made me choose it, and typically what we're hearing is really that community feel. So having a smaller academic class environment, getting to know your professors, faculty, G mentioned, getting to know the faculty and having that environment very, much smaller. Career preparedness was a huge thing. I knew I was going to get a job. And I think that's showcased with what we were just announced with 2 days ago, that we're the #1 school in the country. So I think students recognize that this is an investment in their future. So graduate schools, prepare for graduate schools, prepare for education. And then just the opportunities outside the classroom. G mentioned experiential opportunities in study abroad, experiential learning opportunities, the ability to be hands-on with equipment first year, whether that's in communications, in engineering, those types of traditional environments in a bigger school setting are not going to happen for students. Research opportunities in the sciences can happen in the first year. So I think that's really the reason why students are choosing us. And when they step foot on campus, it's not a bad match either because it's beautiful. And facilities are very well upkept, residence halls, dining facilities, all of that's very, very up to date. So that's typically what we hear from students as to why they're choosing us. Question about if I wanted to do the 3+1 program for business, do I apply to this program when applying to Quinnipiac or after I'm accepted? So the 3+1 programs we automatically invite students into as long as you apply into any business program or undeclared business. If you meet our criteria, we would automatically invite you to that. So your acceptance letter would say, congratulations on your acceptance to marketing. You've also been invited to the 3+1 program as well. So that'll be the case for business, communications, any communications or undeclared communications. Biology or biochemistry would offer a 3+1 bio program. Theater, we have an undergraduate in theater. We don't have a graduate program. So typically our students are doing our MBA program in business or communications program. So you just have to apply to our theater program. And then economics, same thing. We don't have a grad degree in economics, so they do business typically. And then radiologic sciences, same thing for their program as well. 3+3 law, you'd indicate interest. 3+2 social work, you'd also indicate an interest in a dual degree program after you select your major on the application. What is the percentage of Greek and international students? So Greek in terms of fraternity and sorority life, we are about 21% affiliated. We have 10 sororities and 9 fraternities on campus. In international students, we range anywhere from 3 to 5% on a given year. This year may look a little bit different as students are not willing to travel as far. Average GPA for students, generally speaking, for us is going to be in the range of a B to B+. If you're looking at traditional 4.0 model, it's about a 3.41. We know that most schools are not working off of a traditional 4.0 model. You are working on a weighted model, and students oftentimes have above a 4.0 out of a 4.0. So that's all going to be taken in and factored in our admissions process by looking at what classes you're taking, the leveling of classes, and your grades in them as well. And a question about, would you consider campus more liberal or conservative? Ju, I don't know if you have a response to this or thought on it. I would say we're fairly in the middle. We're pretty, I would say we lean more towards a liberal piece in terms of our student population. We're very open, we're very accepting. Our students are very active and social in terms of advocating and, you know, kind of speaking out. We host a lot of town halls. We host a lot of student advocacy groups on campus. We do have a student Republican group. We have a student Democrat group. So there's definitely a representation from both parties. But I would say our students tend to be more moderate to liberal in terms of how they advocate for themselves on campus. Do anything that I missed?
Nope, I think you hit it all. I mean, all your reasons kind of line up with mine. I could say like the one big thing that everyone's like, why Quinnipiac? Statistically, it's just when I sat down there for admitted students day and I was like, is this the school I'm going to put my deposit down on? Am I going to commit here? I went to my presentation for my program specifically. And at the end of the presentation, there was a number and it was 100%. And this just proves to back up that that we were just ranked at #1. It said we had within my program for occupational therapy, 100% job success rate within 6 months of graduation. So for me, knowing that I got accepted to other OT programs, but this one was going to tell me that before even by the time I graduate college, I will have a job waiting for me. That's all I needed to know, knowing that my money is going towards, you know, not just a degree, but also something I can make use of. And also just that hands-on experience. Something I love talking about are the cadavers. I hated talking about the cadavers when I first got here. I was like, we have dead bodies if you don't know what cadavers are. That's the easiest way to explain it. And the fact that as early as your sophomore year, you're able to look at these cadavers and really examine the human body, and then also just kind of go in up to your junior year, dissect. And the fact that Quinnipiac has opportunities and resources, not just in health sciences, but if you're in communications, as early as your freshman year, first semester, you're going to learn how to use those cameras, green screens, and be more hands-on than rather just sitting in a classroom, lecture hall, notes. So that's the only thing I'd say. We're just like super hands-on. I don't regret my decision in Quinnipiac one bit. It was probably the best big load of money I've put down, but I don't regret it for a single thing. And I'm really excited for the rest of my years here.
Thank you. And thank you, Katie, for being the moderator. Sorry that I didn't step in, but I felt like you're smooth sailing with that. All right, so I don't know if we have any more questions, but I guess any final remarks?
I'll just mention, as those of you that are going through the research process right now, for those of you especially that are rising seniors, we do have virtual information sessions. We have virtual tours on our website. We have real tours. If you want to talk more about yourself and advocate for yourself, we do offer one-on-one interviews. And then for those of you that feel like you have a good grasp on Quinnipiac, but want to hear more from faculty and staff, we will be offering, starting fairly quickly at the end of August, some more academic specific sessions on programs and majors. So definitely would recommend keeping an eye out. And the other thing is I'm super accessible. So if you need anything, I think Jenna can attest that I'm pretty good with emails. So if you need anything, my contact info.
Quinnipiac contact.
Yes, I'm pretty good. I got 0 in my inbox the other day, so that's my big proud feat of the month. But if you need anything, my contact information is on our website. If you just search admissions counselors, you'll find my face, my name, and the counties that I represent for New Jersey. For those of you that are northern New Jersey, you'll be working with my colleague, Adam, who's also great, also an alum. So whoever you need, we are happy to help as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Katie, and thank you, Ju. It's always really helpful to have a student perspective on here. It makes the presentation much more personal. And Katie, and as an alum, I always, not that I don't like it, but I love when admissions counselors work at the school. Sometimes it's just like they don't work at the school, they just kind of like signed up, like just got to the school last week. So it's much more authentic when you've actually attended and have taken courses and have gotten multiple degrees there. So you got your money's worth. Okay, well, thank you everyone, and thanks for joining us, and have a great rest of your week. Bye.